Hi, everybody. Jeremy Parson here. I'm really excited today. I'm in Houston, of course, not moving around these days much. Haven't left our city for more than 6 months. But so much exciting stuff going on here. And I'm really excited to introduce you guys today to James Oliver, he's going to tell you about his business and his new wine shop here in Houston, when he opened it, et cetera. But it's recently open. It's a new business to our community. James and I started bumping into each other mostly at and James and his wife Aisha. We started bumping into each other at Vinology, one of our favorite another wine shop in Houston. And we discovered that we both were passionate about Italian wine. And I think when I met you, James, you had just come back from a Vin Italy trip, or you had recently, and I think also you were working with one of our top Houston-based distributors of Italian wine. So I immediately felt a kinship with James because he's an Italian wine guy and his wife's an Italian wine person.
Definitely, definitely.
You just kind of bonded. You know, it's pretty easy to bond when you're drinking some really good Sangiovese. I remember we had some really interesting wines the last time we got together. So, James, welcome to Do Bianchi. I'm welcome to our wine community. And just tell us, I know you come from your family has a long tradition of being entrepreneurs. I think you're originally from Atlanta. How did you get to Houston? How did you get in the wine business? And tell us about Vesper and what you're doing at your shop. You guys are over on the west side of Houston. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate, taking the time out to connect with me. And I actually am originally from Houston, born and raised. So I was born and raised on the southwest side of Houston, kind of, in the Stafford, Missouri City, Sugarland area. So for those who aren't familiar with Texas, or, Houston is kind of a suburb of Houston, about maybe 15 to 20 miles outside of Houston. So born and raised over there, went to high school there. And man, I would say right around maybe 10 years old, my parents started opening up businesses kind of in that area. And I remember them just working day and night. My mom was kind of in the corporate world downtown. She worked for a law firm. And my dad was a big entrepreneur. And they basically started off with barbershops. We owned a barbershop. We were going to open up a couple of barbershops in Missouri City, Sugarland area. And I remember helping my dad pick out furniture and, actually choosing barbers. And, we're talking about 10, 11 years old. Of course, I didn't know what I was doing, but it was really awesome. And then we kind of moved on to a janitorial service and, kind of learned that side of the business. I hated the janitorial service, at the time. And I guess I was about 15 around that time. And, we actually had several office buildings. And we had a crew of people, and it was really good money, but you definitely had to do the work. And I was a kid, so from there we moved on to a vending company. So this is kind of when I really got into the beverage, aspect of things. And we started a vending business, moving on to about 18 years old. And my dad and mom set me down and said, "Hey, we want you to be over the marketing, because you're a good salesman, you're a big socializer, and you just love connecting with people." And kind of over a 5-year period, I grew one account, and that particular area, to about 50 to 60 accounts. And we're talking about 18 to 21 years old, where we had 50 vending machine locations. And essentially we had a contract with Dr. Pepper and Coke, that my dad and I would meet with them, and we were kind of rent their machines out. We had snack machines, Coke machines, and I would basically go around town and just pick up thousands of dollars. We were making about $2,000 to $5,000 a week, and it was a really lucrative business for those who want to get in the vending business. Not sure if it's the same now. We're talking about 1996 to about 2002, but yeah, kind of started from there. And that's where I really kind of got my love for the beverage industry. I was around a lot of soft drinks and really learned a lot about that. And then I would say about 21, 22, my parents were big wine drinkers growing up, and they started introducing me more to the wine aspect. And we started traveling to different islands, and we were traveling to different states. And, they were big foodies, you know, big foodies. And whenever we go out to dinner, they started introducing me to Pinot Grigio and Prosecco and stuff like that, and Chianti. And didn't have quite the palate for, we're talking around 21, 22 at the time. So I was just fine just drinking anything. When you get 21, 22 in the States, you just really want to start kind of opening your mind and tasting a lot of things. So from there, I would say that I just drunk a lot of wine throughout my 20s, and just really wasn't that that focused on it, and it really wasn't important at the time. So I would say around 28, speaking of Atlanta, is when I moved to Atlanta in '08.
I knew
And
there
before
was
I
a
moved,
connection there.
mhm.
I knew there was a connection, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but I just want to. You said something so important. People ask me all the time, like, "Hey, I want to get in the wine business. It's so romantic. It's so cool. I dig wine. I want to, I love food and wine." But you said something so important. If you want to get in the wine business, you need to be a people person. Like if you
Right,
want to have
right,
success, I mean, your store has been this, even during the pandemic, you've been success. And I know you gotta be a people person. You gotta
absolutely,
know sales. You can't just say, boom, I'm going to be in the wine business and now my life is fabulous. It's
right.
about people. So I'm sorry, tell us about.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I definitely second that, and I definitely agree, Jeremy. That's a huge thing. Kind of speaking on that, I get a lot of calls and texts and emails from all over the country. And people tune in to my wine videos. I've been doing wine videos for about 6 years, and it takes a lot of variables and a lot of components, to actually know the business. So, kind of going into that, before I moved to Atlanta in '08, I went, my father's wife, she started doing food tastings in all of the grocery stores around Texas. And she says, "Hey, why don't you come with me to an interview one day?" So, I threw on a suit coat, and I met the owners, and they said, "Hey, you would be great at doing tastings inside of supermarkets." So I started doing tastings inside of Whole Foods and HEB and Kroger's, and I found out that I was fantastic at it. And at the time, I was just really honing in on my ability as the sales side, and really just connecting people, and it just felt really, really natural. And when I started doing the tastings, I started getting paid very well, because I was selling a lot of bottles, and I started learning the tasting nodes and really just connecting with people, and they were just like, "Wow, no one has ever given us this information." And I just want to strongly emphasize, when you're getting into the wine industry, definitely bring your A game, be really passionate about it, and just take it to another level, and just really do unique and creative things to kind of stand out, so people can connect with you, and just act natural. So from there, I worked for about 3 months doing wine tastings, and basically I was just doing that to get money to move to Atlanta.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I moved to Atlanta, and I was an IT computer technician from '08 to probably about 2014, and while I was there, the recession hit. For those of we were hit with the Big Depression, the recession, the economic downturn in Atlanta, and unfortunately, when I moved there, that's right when the recession hit. So I could not find an IT job for 6 months, and I was sitting around. I was like, "What am I good at? What could I kind of get into, one of my hobbies where I can just really exert myself and immerse myself in something other than the IT, and just really get something going for your spare time." So I started going to the Atlanta Wine School,
There's an
and
awesome. Atlanta has a really cool food and wine scene. I've spent a little time up
absolutely,
there. It's a really neat city for food and wine.
yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. Really like the food and the wine. Things when I moved there, things were moving a lot faster. And this, we're talking about pre-recession, but it was just the economy was moving a lot faster there, and a lot of people were kind of shaking and baking, and trying to. They were doing a lot of side jobs.
Mm-hmm.
They had their regular jobs during the day, or doing their side jobs. So yeah, what I started doing was going to Atlanta Wine School, and I started learning the basics. And I was in class every day, and failed my test the first time around. I wasn't. At the time I was mentally still in the IT game, but I was studying wine on the side, and wasn't quite serious. But after that, I was like, you know what? I could take this somewhere else, and possibly grow a career out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So what I started doing, I started going to the local restaurants, and a couple of my friends I met along the way were chefs. They were from Tunisia, they were from South Africa, they were from Greece, and they really started to immerse my mind and my soul into the cooking. So as they would cook these dishes, I would go to their restaurants, and shout out to my man Khalid in Atlanta. Um, they owned a former restaurant, Couscous, which kind of focused on the Mediterranean, kind of that Greek aspect. So yeah, I would go there, and they would start, hooking me up with all of these particular dishes, and I started tasting all these wines. And that's where I fell in love. We're talking about maybe 2010. That's when it happened, and something just sparked. I was like, man, this is phenomenal. Like, when I started tasting all these wines from around the world and started tasting all these foods, it opened my mind up to other parts of the world, even though I wasn't there, you know? And that's where my palate and just me connecting with people really started to enhance and really start honing in on particular wines. So, kind of moving forward, I would hang out with these chefs, and I moved back to Houston in November of 2014. Moved back, started getting into the IT game, and I found myself, Jeremy, I just wasn't passionate. And for those who are listening and going to listen to the video, you I think that COVID has taught us to things could change up so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, if you're passionate about something in life, really hone in on that. And of course, we have to make our money and pay our bills, take care of our children during the day with our day jobs, but really hone in on your passions and just go all in. I think that COVID has taught us that nothing is stable, and a lot of us have had to shift careers, and we've had to kind of pivot and think about, hey, what can I do? What do I have a degree in, and what have I been passionate over the years that I can really exert myself and go into? So definitely emphasize that. So moving forward, I moved back. I met my girlfriend at the time, Aisha, and she says, I know you don't like IT, but what are you passionate about? I says, well, I really like to get more into food and wine and get back into tastings, because I used to do tastings before I moved to Atlanta. So she says, well, why don't you start your own business and become an independent contractor? So I looked at her, I was like, wow, like, this is a woman I was only dating for about maybe 6 months at the time. And I just knew that she was the one, and that she was just really supportive behind me. So, we came up with the name Vesper, and I'm a huge James Bond fan. So I love the 007 aspect. I wanted to be kind of the African American James Bond of wine, right? So I says, I'm going to be the African American James Bond of wine, and we're going to call it Vesper. He's a world traveler, and he eats these exotic foods. He meets all these people. So Vesper was kind of the aspiration behind that. That used to be, Vesper was an agent that
Okay.
was in the James Bond movies. And I believe that he was dating the agent. So for those of you who know the James Bond, when he walks up to the counter and says, shaken, not stirred, that is the Vesper Martini.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
I
right.
know that
So
origin. and James Bond was also a wine lover.
He was.
Right, wine lover. He's you know, if it's the 59 Bollinger, you were expecting me. It's one of my favorite lines out of two. Well, tell us, and you know, it's so interesting to hear your story about how, you know, your business, you know, your entrepreneurial spirit, your personal experience, and like how I think listening to you tell that story, I was thinking like the parallels of my own career, you know, where I was like in a totally different field, but I got passionate about wine, even though you know, I kept going, and I failed a couple of tests too. You know, there was a couple of moments when I realized I didn't know anything about wine, and I needed to open some books, and I needed to taste a lot of wine. And I think a lot of people in our business can have a parallel story, like, wow, I was on a whole nother track. And again, you know, people come to me all the time and say, oh, I want to get in the wine business. I want to like be the president of a distribution company. Well, first thing you got to do is work in a wine shop.
Exactly.
First thing you got to do is taste a lot of wine, you know. And one of the things that's interesting to me about your career is like how you've slowly, you know, taken all your skill sets and like now you have this massively successful business, which brings me to tell us about what you guys are doing. I mean, I think, did you open before the pandemic started or just right after it started? I know you are selling so much wine right now. And one of the things one of the reasons I wanted to do this video was, you know, hey, this is a model for how you get into the wine business. Tell us about Vesper Wines. Where are you located? On the west side, I think. And what do you know, can I come buy wine from you? Do you do tell us about what you're doing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm excited to tell you guys. So I've been with about 5 distributors, and you know, like you were saying, kind of going into that, definitely start off. I would strongly suggest at a wine bar. You know, I kind of co-managed 2 wine bars, and throughout my career, I was working at 5 distributors as a sales rep, and I started from the ground up. So last year, I was with a distributor as a retail sales rep, and started there last year, December 4th, and it kind of went up into this year, and I was doing really well. I was shipping wine to all of the stores all over Texas, and of course, we know that COVID came about, and I got laid off, you know, as a lot of us have.
As did so many. I mean, we're not just talking like a handful of people. There's, and I don't want to name names, but there's at least one company in Texas that essentially laid off its entire sales force. I mean, everybody got laid off.
Right. So, you know, I would say in March, I got laid off, and from there, I said, you know what? I was consulting with Vesper and doing wine tastings. You know, I'm pretty well known all around the city doing wine tastings and dinners at various restaurants. And my wife and I started looking at things. We said, you know, why don't we go ahead and open up a small wine shop, a small production winery, and a showroom wine shop. So essentially, Vesper Wine is an online store. You know, we're basically built through the Shopify platform. So we could ship wine all over Texas. We have a winery license as well as we have a carrier's license. So we have the ability to deliver within a 7-mile radius of our shop, which is located off of 1960 in Fallbrook. It's located on the northwest side of town on 1960 and the 290 area. And we're talking about the Cypress area, Jersey Village, and kind of parts of Northwest Houston. And we just really wanted to do something unique and innovative. And, you know, our slogan is experience the future of wine. And basically what the premise of that is we're as a former IT guy, we wanted to combine the wine knowledge and the innovation that has been introduced to our world, especially since COVID has come about. And what we essentially will be doing is virtual tastings. You know, we're hiring on a team of Vinotechs. We've hired on our first guy. And what that experience the future of wine will entail is you will have the ability to use all platforms of Facebook, Instagram, Zoom, you know, any video chats, and you can reach out to us virtually. And that's kind of the premise and the aspects of experience the future of wine. And we also have the ability to do curbside pickup at our shops. You can't come by our shop. We still are social distancing, and want people to stay safe because our shop is a small shop. We got it in the middle of the pandemic, and we hold all our wines in our shop, in our warehouse. I'm sorry, and we do deliver within a 7-mile radius, and we ship all over Texas. And there are specific states, such as District of Columbia, Alaska,
Uh-huh.
Florida, that we can actually ship wine to as well.
Wow. One of the things that's so interesting to me about your business is that you open. I mean, it's a great model. This is the future.
It is.
I mean, even after the pandemic is over, I still want to be able to do curbside. It's fantastic
Yeah.
to do an order online. Just
Right.
pull up. Somebody puts the wine in your car or your truck, and I love it. One of the things that's so interesting to me about your business is you're in a part of town that's underserved for fine wine, and you're
Right.
bringing. Yes, there are some chain. You can buy wine at the supermarkets there. You can buy wine at some of the chain wine retailer. The big one that we all know. And but when it's not like going to the Specs downtown where there is like a real fine wine. That is more of like a serviceable wine. So what you're doing is, I've always thought about this. Why aren't people opening fine wine shops out on the West Side where there's all kinds of people who drive in every day to get fine wine?
Right.
So
Exactly.
it's brilliant business model. Are you guys hiring right now or?
We are looking for affiliates, for those who are really into Instagram. We put a lot of content out on Instagram, and we do have affiliate information up on Instagram. We are looking for people to market our wines, for those who, as you and I discussed, who kind of want to they want to get into the wine industry. That is a really good way to kind of get your foot in the door and start marketing the wines, because we will be providing the wines, and that's a good way to start getting connected with the wines and actually with the descriptions and actually talking about the wines as affiliates. And we will be looking in the future for Vinotechs as well. And, again, what that kind of consists of is, we want to really push more personalization. We don't want you where you could just come in and buy your wine. We want to really give you an experience. We want to give personalized information and say, hey, if I go on Vesper.wine and I'm really not familiar with that description, I don't really understand it, you do have the ability to reach out to us and say, hey, can you give me more of a description and go more in detail? And hey, with safe social distancing, people are having about 5 or 6 people at their homes, and they're having tastings, they're having wine dinners out on the patio. And we will be providing some information on that and saying, hey, this is the wine you want to pair up from Vesper.wine. This is the food you want to go with it. Because we are experts, we are certified, and I am a sommelier as well, and I am certified in wine, spirits, and food. So that's kind of what we really want to hold on and really provide, is that extra information that the other wine shops aren't providing.
It's funny because it kind of comes back to what we were saying at the beginning about being a people person, and with technology today, we're using technology as an ectoskeleton, right? To expand our persona.
Like
It's like exactly what you're doing. And I've had a lot of people call me and say, I need to buy wine in the pandemic, but I don't know how to do that. And I always say you need to develop a relationship with your wine seller, the merchant who sells you the wine, because in my case, all the merchants, there's someone at Specs, there's someone at Vinology, there's someone at Houston Wine Merchant, there's someone at the Kroger where I used to shop in the Heights, and those guys will call me and say, Jeremy, we just got in this. We know you love this wine. It just came in, or it's on a close, and you have to have that personal relationship. And I know wine merchants across the United States are trying to do exactly. You're going to become a model for how you sell, as you say, the future of wine. I feel a blog post coming on the future. We don't have a ton of time left, and I'm so stoked that you could spend time. And I'm just glad to connect with you. I miss
Yeah,
those
definitely. Thank you.
evenings where we're like all drinking Italian wine and just hanging out. I pine for those days to come back. Just because, you know, I'm an Italian focus with my work and my blog. And I know you've been to Italy. I love it. Whenever we talk on the phone, we always talk a little bit in Italian. I mean, you've really spent some time on the ground in Italy. What's exciting to you right now? Like, is there any Italian wine that you're working with right now you're excited about, or what's exciting about Italian wine?
Yeah,
For you?
definitely. You know, I'm glad you asked that. We actually had a VIP tasting yesterday at a really one of the restaurants that I've done business with over the years, and he reached out to me and, you know, say, hey, I wanted to try some Italian wines and I want to get your suggestions. And our Vino Tech actually joined us, and our Pinot Grigio, I'm really liking Pinot Grigio right now, kind of from that Friuli region, that northeast region. And those are drinking really, really fresh right now. Sierra du Leone is the producer, and they're just really vibrant and really crisp and really clean. You know, I think that those are really drinking nice in the climate and the atmosphere that we're currently in. As we know, we're still hot in Houston, and you can almost kind of drink that year round here. And, you know, a lot of seafood lovers are in Houston, and I'm a big seafood lover. And I just love the crispness and the acidity. You know, when I have my shrimp, when I have my salmon, when I have my cod, and those are pairing up just phenomenally right now. And I'm also really liking the Prosecco, you know, from the Veneto region. You know, I think from a psychological aspect, Jeremy, like we're wanting to get over this pandemic, and we're thinking celebratory, like, man, can I just get back to my friends and family, have a celebration? And that celebratory Prosecco, it's a really representative of, you know, parties, you know, happiness. And I think that is a really good sparkling Italian wine that's really great right now, because it just kind of takes you away from the pandemic. And, you know, eating around a couple of friends, it's just really a good celebratory drink, and it's delicious. I love the apples and the pears and the crisp acidity, and the mimosas, of course, right? Those are really drinking nice as well. So those are two of my favorite right now. I think those are really great.
I love what you said. I know that I've had that experience too with Pinot Grigio. When you get someone to try a Pinot Grigio from Friuli that's made in a traditional style, that's, you know, kind of more of a wine person's kind of wine. But you know, I recently had that very experience where we were on a virtual tasting, and somebody tasted Pinot Grigio and said, wow, this is not the Pinot Grigio I got at Olive Garden. You know, this has acidity and freshness and all this stuff going on. And I also agree with you that we need to treat ourselves to a little Prosecco right now.
Absolutely.
It's so interesting, and man, we could just talk all day about this, how wine, and I love that you pointed that out. In the time of the pandemic, wine, when my wife and I sit down and open a bottle of wine, whether we're watching a movie or whether we're just having dinner, that's this moment when you hear that cork come out, that not that your troubles go away, but all that matters is right now, right here, in the wine that I have in my glass.
Right in the present moment.
I love.
Right.
And
I absolutely agree.
Man, I just think what you're doing is so cool. Guys, if you're watching this video, in the blog post, it has if you found it on YouTube or whatever, either way, on my blog, I'll put all the links to Vesper Wines and all, you know, their social media, and check it out. I really think what you're doing, man, is a model. You know,
Thank you.
I think you grabbed on this moment, and thank you for making Houston a better place to drink wine. I hope I get to see you guys soon. I'm really, man, I miss those. They were really like parties that we used to have at
Right.
Yeah.
Venology, yeah, it was an awesome time. I think that we will get back to that. I know kind of the end of the year, beginning of the year, they're saying, you know, we could slowly transition back to, you know, just to the norm. But yeah, I really appreciate having me on. And, you know, definitely, guys, check out Vesper.wine. Check us out, Vesper.wine on IG. We're really doing some fantastic things. And I think we're just getting started. So we have a long road ahead of us, and yeah, definitely check our wines out and reach out to us. You know, we want to personally talk to you and get your feedback and give you as much information as possible.
Yeah, guys, and and again, I'll put the Instagram link, all the links on the blog. You want check out, especially if you're a young person trying to get into wine. What follow James and his business. This is I'm telling you a model. You know, if I can ever get back to be teaching at the Gastronomic Sciences University, the Slow Food University in Italy, which they've got me scheduled for January. I'm so going to use your business as a model. I mean, my students are those young people who want to find that channel like you have. So man, thank you for being here. Say hi to Aisha for us. I'll drink. I'm glad you're drinking good wine, and thank you for being here. We'll talk to you soon, man.
Thank you. Ciao.